this afternoon.
Okay. I'm going to start admitting members of the public now, and we can get things rolling.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Okay, we'll just give it a second and we'll get things rolling, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. I believe we've got around 25 people in the chat so far, so that's fantastic. We'll just wait a few more minutes to see if we get any latecomers. Just a quick notice that we are going to be recording today. So this whole session is going to be recorded. So if you know anyone who was unable to attend, you can send them to the YouTube link afterwards and make sure that they hear about us. So if you don't want to be seen, make sure you've got your camera off. Make sure you rename yourself to make yourself non-identifiable. And that'll be fantastic. We'll just wait one more minute and we'll get things rolling. But while we wait, I think I'll pass over to Katie just so she can tell you a little bit about what's coming up from Team Hearts and Volunteers Week.
So if we can just ask everyone to mute themselves at this time so that we don't have any background noise. But thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Thank you for joining us at this Welwyn Hatfield Volunteer Fair. My name is Katie. I'm the Team Hearts Project Manager, Team Hearts Volunteering Project Manager. So it's brilliant to see you all here today. And thank you so much for your interest in volunteering. All the organisations here today who are really excited to speak to you about the volunteer roles they have on offer will agree with me that volunteers have such an invaluable input into their day-to-day running of their charities and organisations. So thank you so much for joining. In terms of what Team Hearts Volunteering do, we are the county-wide one-stop hub for volunteer inquiries across Hertfordshire. And we are funded by Herts County Council to provide that service. And we work really closely with the Centre for Voluntary Services across Hertfordshire. There's 7 in total, and one of them, Welwyn Hatfield, is joining us in partnership today. We also work closely with the volunteer centres as well. So you'll be hearing from Welwyn Hatfield later on during today. So without further ado, we will get started and get started with the proceedings for today. So over to Jack.
Thank you, Katie. Once again, big thank you for joining us. So just a quick idea of how these fairs work. And if you haven't joined us at one of our fairs before, I'm so glad you found us. This is a virtual volunteer fair. If you may have come to one of our real life ones before 2020, where we were in shopping centres and we're in community centres, and you got lots of free pens and flyers. But today, this is a virtual volunteer fair. There's a chance for you to listen and ask questions to loads of organisations in the Welwyn Hatfield area. The way it's going to work is, as you can see on the screen right now, you can see the schedule that we've got up for this event. There is one change in there. Potential Kids is now going to be swapping with one YMCA, so they'll be going on slightly before. But if you're particularly interested in a certain type of volunteer role, make sure you're here for them. What's going to happen is each organisation is going to have 5 minutes to speak, so they'll be able to do a short presentation about who they are, what it's like to volunteer with themselves, any sort of how you can get in contact, and anything else you will need to know about volunteering. And this last second 5 minutes, you'll be able to ask questions directly in the chat, and I'll be able to read them out, and you'll be able to get the answers that you're looking for. Throughout the rest of the fair, you won't only just be stuck to listening to that one organisation. If you go down to the private chat function, you'll be able to send direct messages to all of the organisations that are here today. They've all renamed their names, so you can see exactly who's in the chat at a certain time. If you're an organisation here who hasn't renamed yourself, please do at this time, just so that if anyone's interested in volunteering with yourselves, they can get in contact straight away. So if at any point you want to ask any questions to any of the organisations here today, please do send them a message. They're more than happy to hear from you. They really want to get you involved. I'm just going to talk a little bit more about Team Hearts and what we're offering next week, because if you are living under a rock, next week is our World Cup. It's National Volunteers Week. It's something that we love. It's the time we use to celebrate volunteering all over the county. And we're going to be running a range of events to help you find your perfect volunteer role if you can't find one today. But first of all, we're going to be running a community help volunteer fair next week. It's for the entire of Hertfordshire. We've got 10 more organisations who are going to be attending. you'll be able to come down, find out about more organisations. So if there's not one you find today, you're bound to find one next week. And then next Saturday, we have got the big bonanza. It's our virtual volunteer fair, volunteering bonanza. It's our biggest ever volunteer fair. We're going to have 20 organisations over 4 hours. We of course do not expect anyone to come and sit in front of the screen for 4 hours, as that's insane on a Saturday. We'll be publishing the schedule miles in advance, so you'll be able to come down, pop in and out of the session. We'll be streaming it live on Facebook. So throughout the day, you'll be able to find out all about volunteering in our wonderful county. So that's us. I'm going to post a link to that in the chat, just so if anyone's interested in signing up to any of those events at the moment, you can head over there and have a look. We've also got some fantastic success stories of local volunteers that are telling us all about what they're doing in terms of volunteering in the county, and they're fantastic stories on our website, and I encourage you all to go and read that. But if anyone's got any questions about how this is going to run, we've got a couple minutes now that I can answer them. I'm just going to pull up the chat now. Okay, brilliant. What I'll do is I'll just keep an eye on the chat for the next couple of minutes, but if anyone wants to send any messages to any of the organisations to start with and introduce yourselves, please do. And we'll get things going at 10 past with Carly from Isabel Hospice.
I was just going to add to that, Jack. If anyone's just joining, hi, I'm Katie. I'm the Team Hearts volunteering project manager. So welcome. Thank you so much all for being here today. If you're unsure how to use the chat function, it should be along the bottom of your screen, depending on what device you're using. So it is a little speech bubble and it says chat underneath. You can click on that. The default setting for the chat is to send your message to everyone. So if you wanted to just direct your message to one particular organisation, you can click the drop down menu next to where it says everyone and select the person you want to send it to. So if you wanted to just message Jack or I with a question, we can help you with that. But all of the organisations here today have their name and the organisation that they represent on their title, so it should be easy for potential volunteers to email people directly if you want to do that. Okay, thanks again for being here, and if there isn't any more questions, I think we can get started.
No, definitely, but of course we're here as Team Hearts, so if you've got any questions, or if you haven't found a role today that you want, please do give us a message in the chat. We can pass you on our details at Team Hearts, and we can certainly help signpost you to any other organisations you may be interested in. But I think we will get things rolling now, as we're getting very close to our time. I like to run these a bit like a military operation, so please beware. But I'll pass on to Carly now, and she is going to tell you all about the Compassionate Neighbours project over at Isabel Hospice.
Brilliant, thank you. Can you all see my screen? Lovely. So good afternoon, and my name is Carly and I work for Isabel Hospice. For those of you who don't know Isabel, our vision is quite simply outstanding palliative care, which we provide in our inpatient unit by our hospice at home team and with our Living Well service to anyone in Eastern Hertfordshire with a life-limiting condition, meaning that our service is not only available for people with cancer, but also with COPD, neurological conditions and heart failure, just to name a few. In order for us to truly offer outstanding palliative care, the support has to be extended much further than just the person with the diagnosis and must continue after the person has died, and this is done by our family support team. Here at Isabel, we couldn't do what we do without the support of our volunteers. They're part of the heart and soul of everything we're about. As you can see, we have volunteering roles. You can see if it will change. Available within all departments, including gardeners, till operators in our shops, and hospitality volunteers in our cafe and our inpatient unit. We're currently desperately in need of help within our retail remit, so if you're interested, please contact me and I can point you in the right direction. But today I really want to talk to you about something different, an opportunity that doesn't come with a role profile or a task attached to it, but in fact just requires you to be yourself to make a new friend, and that's our Compassionate Neighbours project. Compassionate Neighbours was founded by St Joseph's Hospice in Hackney following a visit to India, where founders saw how the community embraced supporting those at the end of life, and specifically those lonely and isolated, when doctors just didn't have the capacity to be with patients. By no means do compassionate neighbours replace the role of the professionals, but sometimes it isn't the professionals that people need. They just need a smiley face and a soothing voice to talk with about life, not about medical treatment or life-limiting condition or their imminent death, but what is important to them. And the neighbours are also equipped with the confidence and competence to have some of these harder conversations if the patient so wishes. Individuals are matched based on a shared hobby or interest or experience to develop friendship however they see fit, but the support of the hospice is always there should a difficult conversation or situation arise. Isabel Hospice were part of the rollout to see if the project could be replicated past the boroughs of London, and I'm pleased to say it can and is very successful. However, when we began offering the project, we quickly identified that loneliness was a much bigger issue and affected many more people than just our typical patient. We opened our referrals to anybody over the age of 18, and in this time, as well as diversifying the type of referrals we received, we've also evolved and developed the support we offer while keeping the individual matches at the heart of everything we do. This has all been based on the experience of our neighbours and the requirements of our local community. We've developed pub meetups, cafes, social groups, and are currently increasing our therapeutic themed peer groups and are looking for other options that people might come up with. I'd like to share with you today the story of Keith and Arthur. They were our first match here at Isabel and have been our poster boys ever since. Keith reluctantly attended our training and was quickly matched to Arthur based on a shared background of engineering. These two gentlemen had very little in common other than this, but knew it was a good foundation for them to build on and would share trade secrets and reminisce over photos of tools used in days gone by. Arthur really wanted the opportunity to get out of his apartment, and Keith would meet him once a week in the local cafe, which only had seating outside. Very quickly, true English fashion, the weather made this unmanageable, so the gentlemen found themselves in the local pub to enjoy a cup of tea, a Coke, and sometimes the odd pint. This went on for some weeks, with the gentlemen strengthening their bond and conversation topics. Arthur had not only managed to extend his social interaction to just Keith, but also realised that the other patrons of the pub would recognise him when he was out and about. We then received another referral for the area, and in the infant stage of the project, we just did not have any neighbours to match him to. However, he had a desire to get out and knew there would only be one place to connect him in well. We connected in Rob to meet with Keith and Arthur fortnightly, giving them 1 week on their own, and every other week Rob and any other compassionate neighbour available would attend the pub as well. And as you can see from the picture, we quickly became the busiest group in a pub on a Friday afternoon. Arthur has been very open when talking about compassionate neighbours and said it's changed his outlook on life. It's given him purpose and something to look forward to each week. I'm pleased to say they've all kept in regular contact during lockdown and with quick trips to the pub when the restrictions have allowed. I don't just want you to hear my word for it, so I'd like to share this video with you where our compassionate neighbour Felicity explains her experience.
Sorry, Carly, if you can just pause it, put it back to the beginning and put the sound right up for me, if possible.
Yeah. Can you hear now?
No.
I'll save that and I can share it in a link to individuals. Technology is wonderful when it works, isn't it? So in order for us to do what we do, in the video, Felicity mentions about our training or one-day engagement session, and then we offer ongoing regular support meetings to all of our neighbours. And I'm sure today that you're going to hear about many exciting opportunities and roles available across Welwyn and Hatfield. You might even be worrying about not having the skills and experience you need. But the biggest thing about compassionate neighbours is you already complete the role every day in just being you, and we just want to find you a new friend. Thank you. If you'd like any more information, my details are there and I'll pop them in the chat box.
Brilliant. That was fabulous, Carly. Thank you so much for sharing that. If it's all right, I'm just going to open it up for a chat for questions now. So if anyone's got any questions about Isabel Hospice and the Compassionate Neighbours Scheme, please do put them in the chat now. I've got a couple that at Team Hearts we get asked all the time, so I will just ask those so that's the people in the chat who may have them that will get the answers. What age does volunteering start at Compassionate Neighbours?
Anywhere over the age of 18.
18. And what sort of commitment to the sort of requirements does the role have? Is it a certain set time a week, or is it very flexible?
So our standard recommendation is an hour a week. However, it's completely down to the individual. It's your friendship. So especially during COVID, we've seen a lot of changes in that. So some people might just phone somebody for 10 minutes once a week. And for people that are really lonely and isolated, actually an hour a week can be too much. So it is really flexible and it's your friendship. So it completely varies onto whatever you can fit in.
Brilliant. We've got a quick question in the chat. So can you tell us a bit more about the garden volunteering at Isabel Hospice?
So here at Isabel, we've got two main sites with some beautiful gardens. We've got our Living Well hub based in Hallgrove and our inpatient unit behind the QE2 hospital, and both of which have gardens which are available to patients. Gardening is a very popular volunteering role that we have. So we have a rota of people that come. I think it works out about 1 in 4, and they come and they just maintain our gardens for us.
Brilliant. What I'll do is I'll find your general Isabel Hospice volunteering page, and I'll put that in the chat for everyone. So if anyone's interested in the wider range of volunteer roles at Isabel Hospice, like the training centre or anything like that, they can go away and have a read in their own time.
Thank you.
Is there any more questions about the Compassionate Neighbours project? Well, as always, Carly's going to be here for a while, so if you've got any questions, please do send her a message in the chat. She'll be more than happy to take them. And if you've got any stories or anything like that about Carly, please do put them in the chat so everyone can go away and have a read and find out all about the fantastic work going on at Compassionate Neighbours. But we'll move on. We'll move on now because, as mentioned, I do like to run this a bit like a military operation. So just have a double check. So I believe next we've got the Royal British Legion who are here to share about their volunteer roles. I'm going to pass over to Susanna now. I have made you co-host, Susanna, so I believe you have got some slides.
Screen share should be okay.
There we are.
I'm actually here with my colleague who also can tell you a little bit more about our befriending scheme as well. But thank you for coming to attend this fantastic Wellheart Volunteers session. British Legion does have volunteers who work within it, and like many others, I'm sure there's something that should interest somebody. So our vision for the British Legion is that we're bringing together our nation's communities and individuals to create better futures for the armed forces community and their families. And that's quite important that we remember the families as well. Often as not, we just think of the individuals who have served. So who do we support? It's any member of the Royal Navy, the British Army, the Royal Air Force, the veterans, who are classed as anybody who's had 1 day of pay within any of the services, and their families. But we also include those who are dependents and the carers of those who are serving or ex-serving. So this builds up our large armed forces community. So we've got branch community support. So local Legion branches, and Sharon can provide you far more information on this than I can, because she is our membership support officer for the branches. Sharon, do you want to take over on this part?
Yeah, I can do. Branch community support is something that's been going on for a couple of years now, but during COVID-19, it's been especially important. It is community support. It is not just for veterans and their families. It is for the wider community within the towns and villages where our branches are located. Telephone buddy system, we've made over 55,000 calls during COVID-19 to people who have been socially isolated, which obviously the vast majority of the country have been. We've had a really, really successful story in Ware with a 94-year-old lady who served in the Royal Air Force during the Second World War, and a branch community support telephone buddy. And they've created a fabulous relationship, never met, are on the phone to each other 2 or 3 times a week, and it's just been really, really marvellous. It's continuing after COVID-19, so it's not just during COVID-19, it is something that our branches and the wider Royal British Legion community are completely passionate about.
Unfortunately, the hospital and home visits aren't going on because of COVID restrictions, as the same again with awareness events and local touch points, but they're all pieces of work that we hope to build up to in the future. So the volunteers that we would be looking for are to supplement and expand the befriending service, but also for our fundraising and events that are linked around that. So
the Zoom thing.
Looking at the Poppy appeal in particular.
I'm on the WhatsApp thing.
So the
message I put on it.
I'm
watching Zoom at 12 o'clock.
The British Legion is through the contact.
No, it's so fun. This is boring.
Sorry, one moment, Suzanne. I'm just going to find who that was and unmute them just to make sure. Could I just remind everyone that if you're in the chat, could you please remain on mute throughout? It just avoids background chat. Sorry, Susanna, you're on mute again.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
I was going to say it's tricky when you mute and unmute. So all of our volunteers are given training, and there's support and updates and community within that themselves. So there's a lot more to besides what we can briefly show you on the screen of our slides here. Let me stop sharing. And Jack, do I need to give you back control? Oh, Jack's on mute.
Oh, sorry.
We're all doing
You would have thought after a year or so we'd have learned how to do that, but it's still very, very easy to do. No, don't worry. I've got all the power here, so I can make
fantastic.
it. Hey, that was fantastic. Thank you very much, Susanna. That was really insightful. I'll ask you the same questions I asked Carly, just because they're the most common ones we get at Team Hearts. What age does volunteering start with yourselves?
As far as I'm aware, it's 18 and above, but I do believe there's some there are the youth branches involved, so depending there, I would have to check to be certain though.
Of course. What I'll do is I'm going to put your links in, because I know I've seen you've put the links in, but I don't think that they're linked up properly. So what I'll do is I'll go away and I'll put all those links in for you.
Perfect.
The other question we usually get is what sort of time commitments are involved with yourself?
That's dependent on the person and what they have available, so that is flexible.
Entirely flexible. Brilliant. Okay, well, we've got a few minutes. Has anyone else got any questions? Of course, Susanna's going to be here for a while, so if anyone's got any questions, you can just send her a message. As with all the organisations here, they're more than happy to hear from you. Just a quick reminder, if everyone could just remain on mute other than the person speaking. There are a lot of people in this chat, and it makes it far easier if everyone's on mute other than the person speaking. That just helps keep things rolling, because we've got a lot of organisations to get through. So we'll just wait a couple more minutes. I'm sure there's a couple questions coming in. Okay, I'm just going to put the Royal British Legion volunteering page into the chat, just so if anyone's interested, please do go have a look. But as we've got a couple minutes, I'm just going to pull up the schedule just so you can all see who's coming up. So if you need to dip off anywhere, please make sure you memorise who's going on when, so you can come back and make sure you find out all about what's going on. So I'll just share my screen. Brilliant. So coming up next, unfortunately, I've had a message from Soraya, who was here from Alzheimer's. She has had to leave us to deal with something urgent, as with the charity sector, something's always going on. So we do have a little gap. What's going to happen now is I don't know whether girl guiding, so I don't know if Sue wants to move up. That might be useful.
Yeah, I can do.
Brilliant. So what we'll do is we'll move on to Sue. We'll just take a couple minutes break, just so if anyone's got any questions, they can send over to Carly from Compassion Able. She's still here. She's still happy to take all your questions about volunteering at Isabel Hospice. Susanna and Sharon are still here from Royal British Legion. So if you want to find out about volunteering with them, they've got a range of roles available. So please do find out all about that by giving them a message. We'll just give it a couple minutes, and then we'll get things going. So if you've got any questions, please do send them over. And as Sharon has mentioned in the chat, as we were talking about previously, the Royal British Legion roles, they both require training for both those roles. Those are two-hour online training sessions, and they also have full DBS checks. I'll just give it a couple minutes. But as always, if you are interested in any sort of volunteer roles and you want more advice around how you can get involved with volunteering, please do just email us at info@thvolunteering.org.uk. I'll put that email into the chat as well, so you can find out all about yourselves. But I think we'll move on now. I think we've given enough time. We're going to pass over now to Sue from Girl Guiding. I know lots of people who have volunteered with Girl Guiding, and they've always got a lot out of the experience. So I'll pass over to Sue and she can tell you all about it.
Brilliant. Have you allowed me to share my screen?
Yeah, just give me a second. I feel a bit like Batman sometimes. I've got a million screens open, so I'm trying to. Right. There we go. There you go. So you should be able to now.
Okay, hopefully you can all see that and you can all hear me. So as Jack said, I'm sure a lot of you are very familiar with Girl Guiding, and I'm here today to talk to you about volunteering with us. This picture here on the right is a picture of Jackie, who is one of our fantastic Brownie leaders in Welwyn Village. And she was actually featured in the national recruitment campaign for leaders. So it's great to be able to use her photograph here. This is her making slime over Zoom as we continued to meet with the girls throughout lockdown over Zoom or other platforms to ensure they continue to get the full benefits out of being part of Girl Guiding. So in case you're not familiar with Girl Guiding, we are the UK's largest youth organisation dedicated entirely to girls. We welcome all girls aged 4 to 18 and provide a space where they can be themselves, have fun, learn skills and mostly grow in confidence. We offer a really exciting programme. We updated our programme a couple of years ago and we offer a real range of activities that girls can choose from that speak to whatever and wherever they want to do it. So from, you know, traditional camping to coding, baking to blogging, building fires to building comprehensive arguments, singing to science, you name it, you know, they can do it as part of Girl Guiding. We also, as an organisation, we like to shout out about things that girls today really care about, whether that's the environment, mental health, body image, period poverty, Black Lives Matter, you know, all sorts of things that girls really want to be part of and to have their say on. And week in, week out, like I say, whether it's through sun, rain or pandemics, girls across Welwyn Garden City, across the country, meet with their friends, friends they trust and they want to be with, and volunteers that they really look up to. Here in Welwyn Garden City, we have been part of the Garden City since the very early days. Just a couple of things here on the right. This here is a copy of the Welwyn Times from 1929. And if you see this rather grainy photograph, that was the opening of the original district headquarters, the Guide Hut, as it was known, in Gessens Road in 1929. And this picture here on the right was from a couple of years ago, where the Countess of Wessex came to open our new district headquarters that we rebuilt on the site after raising £250,000 to rebuild it for girls to meet in. So we've been part of this town for a very, very long time. And now there are probably over 30 groups, I didn't quite add them all up, maybe nearer to 40 across Welwyn Garden City, Welwyn, Connecticut, but also I know obviously here we're talking about Welwyn Hatfield, so also into Hatfield, it grows across the county. We have groups split into 4 age groups. Rainbows for our youngest girls aged 5 to 7, and very soon that will be extending to girls aged 4. Brownies aged 7 to 10. Guides aged 10 to 14, and then our oldest group, Rangers, aged 14 to 18, and then all of our adult volunteers. So as a volunteer, what can you do? And I think the answer is anything. So we have our unit leaders. Those are our uniformed leaders who undergo the full training program, go into uniform and work with girls on a regular basis at their weekly meetings. To be a uniformed leader, you do have to be a woman, aged 18 plus, although we have young leaders aged 16 plus who work towards their leadership qualification. And the full training program probably takes around 6 to 9 months, and that's kind of on-the-job training, working with the girls. You get assigned a mentor to support you and go through your training program. And primarily it's showing that you can work effectively with the girls, although you do have to undergo some first aid training, some safeguarding training as kind of mandatory. You can be a unit helper, so that's a support member, male or female, adult, who can come either regularly to weekly meetings to work with the girls, or to maybe come more occasionally, maybe to help out on a trip or a camp or to share a special skill. We have administrators. They support units with sort of admin or finance. Treasurers are incredibly welcome, trying to just take some of the work off the unit leaders so they can concentrate on being with the girls. And we also have administrators at district level. So that would be Welwyn Garden City is split into 2 districts. So it would be helping the groups across the district. And then, or as a district trustee in Welwyn Garden City, because we own that property, we own that guide centre, we do operate as a charity in our own right as part of the overarching Girl Guiding charity, and we have our own group of local trustees to provide governance, particularly around the finances of running the building. And we have vacancies for volunteers at all levels. You can be incredibly flexible. You can be a unit leader and work week in, week out with a group of girls, or you can drop in occasionally, or maybe be part of a rota and help on every 3 or 4 weeks. You can maybe just come along for special meetings or trips. Obviously, the administrators do much more work in their own time, and our trustees only meet 3 times a year. So very different roles, very different time commitments. So what volunteering is all about with us, it isn't just about campfires and helping girls to get their next badge, although these are incredibly special things that we do. It's about empowering the girls, giving them new experiences. It's being a role model for them and really helping girls to realise their full potential. And it's about sharing and developing our skills as well as the girls' skills. This wonderful quote from one of the Brownies, I think more adults will volunteer if we could show them what Brownies is really like. They might not believe how much fun it is. And if you talk to people who volunteer with Girl Guiding and ask them why they do, actually because they get as much out of it as the girls do. because for me, I mean, I've always been part of the organisation. I joined when I was 6 and I've never left. But one of the things I really enjoy about it is whenever I've moved town or moved city, I've been able to meet new people living nearby, to find out a bit about the town. When I was a student, it was incredibly valuable to have adults I could call on in a town hundreds of miles from home. I, you know, have a very busy work life, and actually doing something for guides is a great way of just shutting down from work and doing something completely different. People are able to share their skills or their specialisms, and you really do feel you're making a difference to the lives of girls. It's great fun, you know, laugh, play, inspired. The girls make me laugh every week. And it really, you know, like I say, as a volunteer, you also gain from it. You learn how to plan an event, you know, manage your time. You learn leadership skills and budgeting, which can be incredibly valuable in the workplace. And I know a number of our younger volunteers really gain a lot from the skills they learn in girl guiding that they can then take to the workplace. So, you know, really, why do it? Because we need you. You know, if that's not a reason to volunteer, I don't know what is. But it is about meeting new people. It's about gaining skills, and it's about helping girls discover their full potential. And really making a difference. And like I say, at the moment, we are meeting in all sorts of ways. We're meeting online, we're meeting outdoors, we're meeting indoors as the COVID restrictions change. But whatever we're doing, we're making a difference to the lives of the girls. And I love this quote from one of our rainbow leaders who said, you know, when they said, well, what do you do as a rainbow leader? And she's like, well, I teach future world leaders how to tie their shoelaces. I too would like to share a video. I'm going to give it a go. Hopefully I've enabled the sound on this, but let me know if you can hear it or not.
A few minutes of this, an hour of that, and moments like these. Time for them, time for you, time to volunteer. Join us today.
So I hope you were able to hear that. If not, you could see the captions. Just one of the little snippets of videos. We have a number of these short ones, really just trying to give people a real snapshot of what it's like being a leader in our organisation or being a volunteer in our organisation. Oops.
A few minutes of this, an hour of that.
Slide, which is our, it's a very long email website address to actually get straight on to how do you register to become a volunteer. But if you just Google girl guiding, it comes up right at the top, which is get involved, register your interest. It's also where you would go if you wanted to register a girl to be part of a unit. And all I want to say is thank you. And I'm very happy to take any questions.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Sue. I think everyone I've spoken to who's got involved with volunteering with girl guiding has got an awful lot out of it. So I'd encourage everyone to go and have a look. We have got a couple of questions in the chat already. The first one is, do you need to have a... So can you hear me okay? Yeah, sorry, everyone froze then. That was a bit weird.
Yeah, sorry. My internet was a little unstable, I'm being told. Hopefully.
That's the world we're working in now. It's fine.
Yes.
So the first question is, do you need to have a girl in guiding to volunteer, or indeed a girl? What if they have a young boy?
No.
Can they come with if you are helping out? If you help with the camp, could they come along?
So yeah, we do have a number of our leaders who have sons rather than daughters, or have both. Certainly when it comes to something like a camp or a trip, they're very welcome to bring a little boy with them. We do just have to make sure we've got arrangements, you know, there needs to be separate toilet facilities, etc. And any child of any leader has to be counted in our ratios. We have very strict ratios of adults to children, but it's not a problem. And we have a number of leaders who do bring along a little boy. Obviously, as the boys get a little bit older, then we do just need to make sure that we've got suitable facilities, as it were. But yeah, absolutely, just because we're a girl only organisation doesn't mean that we don't have boys along. And like I say, for our unit helpers, we have a lot of men who volunteer, either because just independently, or often husbands, boyfriends of leaders who come along, and they're very welcome to come. But yeah, just because you haven't got a little girl doesn't mean that you can't be a leader. If you have got a daughter who is part of Girl Guiding or wants to be part of Girl Guiding, and you volunteer as a leader, you are pretty much guaranteed to get them into a unit. So where there's a waiting list, it's a great way to jump to the top of the waiting list by volunteering, because we always give our leaders' children priority. So if you're struggling to get your daughter into a unit, the best way to do is to volunteer to help with that unit.
Brilliant. I think the second one was from the same lady. Can you be involved in guiding if you're also involved in Scouts?
Yes, we have a lot of leaders again who do both. And in fact, there's a new initiative just starting that's being funded by the Pears Foundation, which is trying to make it easier for people to volunteer in both, so that you only have to go through kind of one set of DBS checks and one set of training, because we appreciate that a number of people do work for both organisations.
Brilliant. Just a couple that I'll be getting Team Hearts. So just in terms of the DBS, and what's the process like when you get started? Is there an induction? Is there a certain level of amount of training you need to do before?
Yeah, so if somebody's going to volunteer with a unit, they need to undergo a DBS check, which basically means meeting with one of our ID verifiers with the appropriate documents, 20 minutes on the computer, send that off. Normally comes back within between 3 days to 6 weeks. And you have to do the very base safeguarding training, which is a 20-minute, it might even be 10-minute online module. And then you are you can go and meet with the girls, and then the training occurs whilst you're working with the unit. So you get a mentor, and then there's a training module which really helps you to understand around Girl Guiding as an organisation, the programme that we run, and then just to help you make sure you've got all the experiences you need, working with other units, working with the girls, understanding a bit about finance and admin, understanding how to use our computer system, which is where we just register all the girls, etc. But you have a mentor throughout who will help you throughout, and most people complete that training within 6 to 9 months. But it's very flexible, whatever fits. And like I said, the only mandatory part of it really is the safeguarding training and the first aid training.
Brilliant. Well, I think there's a lady in the chat who sounds very interested. If you make sure you give her a message, she's got a couple of questions for you. But we all get things moving because we've got other organisations here today. But if you are interested in Girl Guiding, Sue's going to be here for, I believe, a little bit longer.
Yeah, I'll put some links in the chat as well. No,
brilliant. So please do go give Sue a message and ask her all about Girl Guiding volunteering. But we'll get things moving on now. I just need a couple of seconds to get my screen sorted out, and then we'll get moving to the next organisation. It's great to see someone's just joined. Welcome to the volunteer fair. We've got more organisations coming up. I'm just going to end this. Okay, brilliant. So we're going to move on now. The next person we've got up is from Angela, who's here for Potential Kids, and she'll be able to tell you all about what it's like to volunteer with them. And once again, we've still got Carly here. We've got Susanna with the Royal British Legion, and of course we've still got Sue from the Girl Guiding for a little bit longer. So please do send the messages if you're still interested in volunteering with them. But we'll move on now to Angela with Potential Kids. He'll be able to tell you all about volunteering with themselves. So I'll pass over to you, Angela.
Hi, good morning. I haven't got a presentation, but I'm just going to run through what we do. Basically, I support Potential Kids, which is a charity, voluntary charity that is based in Welwyn, Hatfield, and it provides learning, social and sports opportunities for neurodiverse children and young people. So in terms of neurodiverse, we mean possibly people that have autism, ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia, Tourette's, and many other conditions. We also support their siblings and families. We offer after school and weekend activities for neurodiverse young people. These are kept small enough in numbers so that they help to reduce social anxieties and fears. They're held in a safe environment where young people can be understood, they can be accepted, and have the opportunity of meeting others like themselves. Our young people will then have time to help them learn, develop social skills and communication and being with other people like themselves. Most of the children that attend have limited opportunities to socialise because they can't really join mainstream activities. So we are an avenue for young people to increase their self-esteem, reduce social isolation whilst building their confidence. Some of the things that we do, well, pre-COVID, we would run a monthly girls group where the girls would come and they might do some art sessions. We run a tweens group, boys group that they might come and do coding. We run regular Minecraft sessions. We have a hub at the Galleria whereby we've got a sensory room, we've got a computer room, we've got an arts and crafts room. So they usually happen after school. We also have multi-sports that we run, yoga sessions, parents yoga sessions as well, because it's good for the parents to be able to do something. And we have a learning and community garden at the Galleria, which is called Potential to Grow. Now we only took this on in August last year, but we have lots of people that want to come and maybe help look at the flowers, do some gardening, and that's really where we need volunteers to help with the gardening, with sessions, maybe come and spend an hour in the garden if there's a group going on, that people can maybe chat, make a cup of tea, just so that we've got volunteers that can help us, because we are a volunteering organisation. So all of us that volunteer, and we don't have that many, are parents of children with additional needs. So sometimes it's tricky to put regular sessions on if you're limited in numbers. So we're all DBS checked. So if anyone wants to volunteer, DBS checking, we can do that. They can do safeguarding, first aid. We've just built a new outside kitchen. So we will be doing some food hygiene courses if anyone wants to come volunteer. It's a long journey for families like ours. So it's quite rewarding in terms of if you want to come and volunteer, because you can really make a difference and you can see a difference in children. Children may come and they may not socialise, or they may not see anyone. They may be, particularly with COVID, they may have been isolated completely and they've got nowhere to go. And some of them haven't even gone back to school. So in terms of them coming out and coming to the hub or coming to a group, now that we are opening up our groups, it's really nice to be able to see a child open up a bit more, maybe make some friends. So it's very rewarding in that sense. We also, because we're volunteers ourselves, just to run it, for in terms of we need volunteers to help with administration or volunteers to help on our trustee board, because we are growing. So we need as much help as we can get, really. I'm just thinking what else. So also it gives you a great feeling to be able to give back to the community and to be able to help other people. And it might be just parents as well, because when the children come and they're doing an activity, for example, it might be forest school, then the parents can sit and they can chat, they can help signpost each other. And yeah, I think that's about it, really. So if anyone is interested, we have a website, we have videos on there so you can see some of the activities that we do. And we've also got some testimonials so you can see how families feel about coming and what they do, how it helps their children. Yeah, so I think that's it. So I can put up our website, and if anyone's interested, we've got an email address, and please contact me. So thank you, and thanks for the opportunity of being on this today.
Brilliant, that was perfect. Thank you, Angela. I've just put your website into the chat, so if anyone's interested, please do go over there and have a look. They've got some fantastic stuff on their website to have a read through and find out all about it. It's a fantastic little volunteer role, very unique to others that we've got here today. So if you're interested, please do go and over to the website. I think Angela's going to be here for another 10 minutes, I believe.
Yeah.
So please do take the next 10 minutes to send Angela all your questions. She'll be more than happy to answer. I've roped her in today to make sure that you can all ask all the questions you've got. But if you could put your email and stuff into the chat as well, Angela, that'd be great, just so people can get in contact to find out a bit more after the event. If we got any questions before we start to move on, I'll ask the couple that I've asked everyone else, just because they're the ones that I know that some people will be thinking, but won't want to ask. So when does volunteering start with yourselves?
Well, from 16 plus, really. You can get a DBS from 16 plus, and some of our tech people, they are with us, they're 16, 17, and they help run the online sessions as well. So any age you can come to us after 16, as long as we can DBS if you're going to be left at, talking to children, because obviously we've got vulnerable children, but some of the adults will be vulnerable as well. And again, safeguarding would be done, and you would always be there with one of us anyway, so you wouldn't be on your own.
Of course, brilliant. So just, you mentioned DBS. Is there any sort of formal training that someone who joins you will have to undertake?
No, we'll just do a DBS, which will go through actually Welwyn Hatfield Community Voluntary Service, because when I actually started, I was a project under them, so they've helped me the whole way through and been fantastic. So they've watched us grow from the beginning. So we'll put everything goes through them. So
fabulous. And then the other one is just about flexibility of volunteer roles. Is there a set time commitment, or is it incredibly flexible?
It's flexible. In terms of if anyone wanted to come and help with a girls group or an art session or a forest school, then they are at set times. But with the garden, the garden is there. We're coming into the summer. It's there 24/7. So if there was anyone that wanted to come and help water, anyone that just wanted to come and sit, even if a couple of people wanted to open the garden and just for people to pop in and pop out, that would be wonderful, because it's a bit of a crying shame that it sits there for most of the week and it's not used, and it's a lovely little space. As I say, it's got an inside hub. It's got this learning kitchen that we've just put in, and benches and things, and it's lovely.
Brilliant, that's perfect. Well, we'll move on slightly now, but Angela's she'll be here for a few more minutes, so please do send her any messages you might have. But we will start to move things over now, just because of time constraints. We have got 5 minutes, and I'm aware that there are people in the chat who might want to go make a cup of tea quickly, because we've got another hour of this event. So if you want to, we'll hold off for 5 minutes and we'll go for a quick break, and then we'll come back at 1 o'clock. Where we are going to be hearing from, I believe it's Citizens Advice next, so we'll be hearing from them all about their witness service volunteering. So we'll just take a quick break. So if you need to go make a cup of tea, go get a glass of water, but please, if you while in the next 5 minutes, please do send some questions to the organisations in the chat. Let them all know about what's going on. About what you're interested in, and if there's any questions you might have about your own circumstances about volunteering, please do ask them now. But we'll go for a very quick break for 5 minutes, just so if anyone wants to make a cup of tea or some water, please do. But while I've got 5 minutes, for those of you who aren't running to the kettle, I'll just sort of talk a little bit about Team Hearts and how we can help. As mentioned, if there's not any organisations here today that you're interested in, or any organisations that you found a volunteer role that you don't think doesn't suit you, next week is Volunteers Week. It's the National Week for Volunteering, so we'll be focusing primarily on celebrating volunteering. We've got some really exciting things to share with you all next week, so please do keep an eye out for that. On the Saturday, we've got our volunteer bonanza. So we'll be making sure that we are. So we'll be making sure that we are going to be sharing out all of our organisations. We're going to have over 20 there. I'm talking to you about volunteering all over the county. So please do come along. All of the information is on our website, so please do go have a look at that. We've got a range of volunteering events. During the early part of the week, we're going to be running some introduction to volunteering workshops. So if you are still thinking about volunteering but don't know where to start, you can come along to one of our workshops where you can listen about what considerations you have to make when volunteering, what it's like when you start volunteering, what you should expect from an organisation, what an organisation should expect from you when you start volunteering. It's a really informative session where if you're brand new to the idea of volunteering, please do join us. I'll share the details to those the workshops in the chat now. But if you're interested, please do go have a look. Martin, unfortunately, Soraya, who was here with Alzheimer's, she's had to go away to an urgent call for a meeting. I'm going to share some information in the chat about Alzheimer's, so you please do, and I'll pass on her email to yourself so you can ask her as many questions you want. Unfortunately, she's had to drop out for this session today because she's had an urgent call. But I'll put the details to our Introduction to Volunteering workshop into the chat now. This is once again a free session that you can come along to find out all about what you need to consider when starting volunteering, any considerations you have to make, and yeah, so that's what's coming up from us next week. Please do keep an eye on all of our social medias. We do brand new volunteer roles every day, so please do keep an eye on that. I think Angela and a couple others and Sue from Girl Guiding, they're going to be off soon. So if you've got any last minute questions for them, please do send them over now, and I'll make sure you grab their details. But we'll just hold off for a couple minutes, and then we'll get moving on. So for those that were asking, I'm just going to put the Alzheimer's link in the chat now. Please do go have a look at their website. They've got full explanations of all of their volunteer roles and what's entailed with that. So please do go and have a look at that, and they'll be able to tell you all about what it's like to volunteer with them. If you're interested in speaking to Soraya, who was going to be here for Alzheimer's, I can pass you on her email and you can ask questions directly. Please do let me know if you want me to do that, but we will move on now. We've got a couple more minutes. So just wait those 2 minutes because I'm wary that a couple of people may have jumped to the kettle. But if anyone has just joined us, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you find a volunteer role today that will be perfect for yourself. So far, I believe Angela and Sue have now left us from Girl Guiding, so I'll put their information in the chat. So if you are still interested, please do give them a message. But we're close enough now to 1, so I'll pass over to Angela, who I believe is here from Citizens Advice, and she'll be able to tell you all about what it's like to volunteer with themselves. I'll make you co-host, Angela, don't worry.
Okay, can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, that's perfect, I can hear you.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you for having me. My name is Angela, and I work for Citizens Advice Witness Service. And my role is to recruit and develop the volunteers for the courts in Bedfordshire and also Hertfordshire. So that's St Albans Crown and Magistrates Courts, Stevenage Magistrates, and the Crown and Magistrates Courts in Luton. Okay, so I'm here to explain to you about what we do at the Witness Service and the volunteering opportunities that we have available. If you'd like to apply, I'll put some bits in the chat at the end with our information, but basically you would need to apply through our national website, and the information will be there for you to have a look at. There's a lot of information on there and a lot of videos and things that you might find helpful as well. Okay. The Witness Service is part of National Citizens Advice, which I'm sure you've all heard of, and it provides free, independent, impartial advice and support to witnesses. The people the Witness Service support, they give evidence in either a Crown or a Magistrates Court in a criminal trial. So the witnesses might be there willingly, or they might have been sent a witness summons to attend. But the key thing really is a witness could be anybody. It could be a child, it could be a vulnerable adult, it could be you, it could be me. So we offer support to all prosecution and defence witnesses, and the service is delivered by over 3,000 trained volunteers in England and Wales. And the volunteers greet and support the witnesses attending court to give evidence. The Witness Service has a mission statement, and it says that it will provide practical help, emotional support and information to witnesses so that they feel valued, respected and informed, and overall able to be able to give their very best evidence in court. So for example, this means we can explain to the witnesses what all the different people in the courtroom do, what they can expect when they step into the witness box, and we can listen and talk through any concerns a witness may have. It's a very, very difficult time for many people who are asked to be a witness. And to ensure that we remain impartial, we don't get involved in the details of a case, we just focus on supporting the witness, with them being able to tell the trial. So how do our supporters, how do our volunteers support the witnesses? So the court volunteers provide pre-trial support and also support on the day. So
Sorry,
all
Angela.
witnesses are
Sorry, can I
opportunity
just
to have a
stop you for a
pre-trial
moment?
visit, where they can
Sorry.
attend court in the weeks leading up to the trial and meet with our volunteers. We can show them around the building and then help familiarise themselves with the environment and answer any particular question that they may have. Yeah, sure.
Hi, Angela. Sorry, it's showing that you're having some problems with your internet connection, so we're having a bit of difficulty hearing you. Perhaps you need to have sort of a connect, a disconnect and reconnect of your Wi-Fi router, and then come back to us later on in the session if we can pop someone in now. Because it's really difficult to hear you. Alternatively, you can just share the links about the service, because I think we've got a general gist now, or you can write in the chat. It's up to you what you'd like to do.
Yeah, I've already put the links.
Okay.
What might help, Andrew, is if you turn off your video. That sometimes helps with the bandwidth.
Yeah. Okay. Is that any better?
It is a bit, yeah. That's a lot better.
Okay. Stop me again if you can't hear.
Okay. Don't worry, I'll be right on you.
Okay. So pre-trial support for the court volunteers, so we can show the witnesses around the building, into empty courtrooms to familiarise themselves with the environment, and then to answer questions that they might have on the day. On the actual day of their trial, the volunteers will support the witnesses through their day in court. This involves answering any questions they've got, providing information on the court processes, providing emotional support to help keep witnesses calm and relaxed. Volunteers accompany witnesses into court and remain in the courtroom whilst they give evidence. And we can also arrange further support for the witnesses from other agencies. So we look for people who are friendly, caring, supportive, particularly non-judgmental and impartial, and people who are good communicators. We need people to be reliable, committed and fairly flexible with what the time that they can offer. Really important that they're able to embrace the diversity of all the different types of people that we work with, and able to work on their own, but also as happy working in teams. They need to be IT literate and be able to complete online training. So our minimum volunteer commitment that we ask our volunteers for is for them that they're age 18 or over. We ask that they have at least one full working day available a week for a minimum period of about 18 months. We need everybody, and we will apply for everybody to have enhanced DBS checks. We often are dealing with quite vulnerable people. So what we can offer is a very challenging and rewarding role. We provide ongoing training and support. We pay your expenses, and you will gain experience working within the criminal justice system. The Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire courts will be recruiting for their next volunteer cohort in early July. So we're looking now for applications sort of now onwards to start sifting through. I'll put my contact details in the chat, and if anybody's got any questions, I'd be happy to help. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you, Angela. Apologies for the early connection issues. That's just the world we're living in now, so we have to try and work around it. If you've got any questions for Angela, please do send them directly to her in the chat. She'll be more than happy to answer them. I will just ask the same old ones we get at Team Hearts, which I'm sure some people will want to hear. What age does the volunteering with the witness service start?
It's 18. You'd need to be 18 or over.
Okay, brilliant. And just in terms of the training and the DBS, so in terms of what does that process look like, and also just how long does it take?
Okay, so the training takes.
You might need to turn your camera off again.
Depending on how. Again, yeah, hold on. Yeah. Sorry, is that better? Okay. Yeah, the training lasts about 2 to 3 months. The DBS is applied for immediately after your part of your induction process. You can't shadow people and see witnesses until you've had the DBS back. The DBS is very quick. We use an online service. It usually comes back within a week, and it's all dealt with online. We have a support and our national office leads, so that we've got somebody that would support you through that process. The training is a mixture of online training, which is quite interactive, coupled with observational type training and learning through a mentor, a buddy, that sort of thing. And you have regular checks with your team leader, who is your volunteer manager, and you're working towards a thing called accreditation, which enables you to be working on a solo basis with our witnesses. And that usually takes hopefully about 8 weeks, sometimes a bit longer at the moment because there's a few distancing arrangements in the court, so things are taking a little bit longer, but ideally 2 to 3 months usually.
Great, that's perfect. Well, if anyone's got any more questions for Angela, please do send them over to her in the chat. I have already put your website in there, but if you want to put in your email and stuff as well, just to make sure that if anyone's interested, they can get in contact. But we will move on now because, as mentioned, we've got a lot of organisations to work through. Of course, we have still got people here from the earlier organisations. Carly's still here from Isabel Hospice Compassionate Neighbours. So if you weren't here for that chat earlier on, please do give her a message, ask her all about it, and she'll be more than happy to. We've still got Sharon, and I think Susanna's here as well, still from the Royal British Legion. So please do give them a message and ask about their volunteering opportunities. But we will move on now because we're bang on time, which is rare for us, but I'm glad we are. So we'll move on now because I believe we've got Zoe here from 1YMCA, who can tell you all about the volunteering opportunities they've got available at the moment.
Hiya, thanks for joining everybody. Yeah, as Jack said, my name's Zoe Sharp. I'm from 1YMCA, but I'm actually representing the Family Support Service. So the Family Support Service is part of Hertfordshire Family Centre Services, which is made up of public health nursing services, which is your health visitors and school nurses, and the Family Support Service. So it's 1YMCA that has the contract for they're the lead agency for the Family Support Service, as I said, that I'm representing. So our purpose is to support children and families to get the best in life and to develop well and thrive. And we do this across the east quadrant of Hertfordshire. So obviously Welwyn and Hatfield is one of our areas, as well as Broxbourne and East Herts. So the main aim of the service is that we support children and families with children up to 11 years old across a wide range of information and support in key areas, all relating to family life. So I think the easiest way to sum it up is if you think of any family or any children, kind of all the issues that you come across, all the things you might want to know, all the advice and support you need, we kind of cover most of that. So anything from pregnancy, birth, the first 24 months of life and parenting for mothers and fathers, from developing friendships for new parents, new opportunities for new parents to meet each other. And also, as I said, we work with public health nursing, so we do a lot of work with midwives and health visitors as well. Things have changed quite a lot for us recently due to the situation with COVID. We are still open and our centres are open, but obviously we're running slightly differently to how we would. So we're still providing an awful lot of support via online platforms, excuse me, through kind of social media, Facebook, YouTube, all of them platforms, as well as we're still offering a lot of face-to-face services, but they are very much kind of bookable services at the moment, and are kind of arranged groups and things like that. We're not kind of just open for walk-ins at the moment, but hopefully that will continue to change and develop as we move out of the COVID restrictions. So as I said, we offer all sorts of advice and support for children's learning and development, from children with special needs. We may do stuff around wellbeing and confidence. We run things for people experiencing domestic abuse, children with behavioural issues, advice around providing childcare and kind of tapping into adult learning opportunities as well. We run all of this through a huge team of professional staff. And obviously we are looking to recruit some volunteers to support us in providing all these services within the local community. So specifically at the moment, we've developed some new roles. As I said, the service has slightly changed for us. So we've got five main roles we're looking to recruit at the moment, and I'll just give you a brief overview of all of them. And then I can put in some links and you can find the full details and descriptions on the website, or you can just email me as well. We have something called an emerging needs volunteer. This volunteer would play a key role in setting up and supporting our emerging needs and our perinatal teams. And this would be working directly with families and children. And for this, we're looking for friendly individuals to welcome families and support the engagement within our services. So this can be activities like role modelling, child-led play, creating characteristics of effective learning, providing feedback within groups and kind of encouraging them to engage and learn from their experiences. We have something called a home learning resource volunteer. Going forward, this will be an ongoing role, but this has also very much come out of COVID. So we are providing home learning packs to families. And then they would sign up to an online session that involves kind of using that pack, or they would be given advice on how to use that pack. So we're looking for volunteers to help us organise and create these packs. It was like a massive production line in the office yesterday, actually, of all these worksheets going in, and paintbrushes and Play-Doh and all kind of sensory activities that these families will be given the opportunity to use. So we're looking for somebody to fill that role. So again, the skills for that vary, but somebody who's quite creative, is willing to just get stuck in and work as part of a wider group as well, would be really good. We also have volunteer self-weigh station assistants. For most of you, you'll probably kind of understand that more as baby clinics. So you would go and get your child weighed at a clinic. Again, at the moment, because of COVID, that's all slightly changed. So we have what we call self-weigh stations that we run with the health department. So a parent would book a slot and they would bring their baby along and they would weigh the baby themselves, fill out their own red book. But there's a member of staff there to support them and guide them through it and offer help and advice. But we're also looking to volunteers to support that role as well, to offer more of a kind of meet and greet friendly service, just to be there as an extra body in the room. It may be that they can provide advice and support. They may kind of just encourage that family and reassure them, and give them advice and guidance on other opportunities within the service or anything else that's going on. So that's another key role we've recently developed. And then regular roles that we've had for a while is volunteer reception roles. Again, reception is a real key part of our service. It's the kind of heart of everything that goes on. We have 22 sites across the whole of East Herts, and 3 main hubs within that. The Welwyn Hatfield one is in Creswick, but they are very busy sites. So the reception role would be kind of from front of house services and answering the telephone and meeting and greeting people that are attending sessions and groups, to being part of a busy team and just getting involved in whatever's going on. And that may be data inputting, that may be setting up displays, it may be preparing rooms for meetings. It's quite a varied role, really. And then volunteer gardeners. I know quite a few of you have mentioned your gardens today. Across the volunteer centres, across the family centres, we have some amazing garden spaces. They range from very large gardens that we run groups in, some of which have vegetable patches, and we run sessions and groups. We've got something called Grow It, Cook It, Share It going on at the moment, where families can come along and learn and understand, and just, well, the kids can just get muddy, but plant vegetables. And then it may be as the course goes on, then families get to then cook a pizza, and they'll make the tomato puree out of the tomatoes they've grown themselves in the vegetable garden. Some of our gardens are just courtyard spaces, and again, like I said, we have quite a few family centre sites, so it may even just be kind of front of house presentation, planting areas and things like that. But we're very keen to have some volunteer gardeners to just keep our gardens ticking over and looking tidy, ready for all our families to use when needed. And well, earlier on in lockdown, they got very overgrown, but we were lucky enough to have some volunteer projects come in and overhaul all of them. So just to give you the questions Jack always asks. So all our volunteers, we like to be 18 or over. We would ask for 2 references, and you also need to have enhanced DBS check, which we would do for you, and we use the online system, which often happens quite quickly within a week or 2. We would ask you to attend an informal interview, and then we would get you started with an induction to the service and an induction to the specific site or centres that you're working at, and then you would be provided with ongoing support throughout your volunteer pathway. And part of that would also be you would have to undertake some training. We have some mandatory training, which is safeguarding children, safeguarding adults, and fire awareness. And then there's also a whole menu of other training opportunities. Some are linked to certain roles and some are optional depending on your volunteer pathway as to how you want to develop yourself. So it's very much kind of working with you and where your skills are and how we can match you into the different roles and what works for you. In terms of time commitment, again, we can be really flexible. We ask for a minimum of 2 hours a week if possible. And any more than that is fantastic. But all our groups and sessions do vary. So there's lots of opportunities out there. So all I would say is anything does interest you today and you're not quite sure, just please kind of ping me a question in the chat box, or I'll put the links up, email me direct, because we can match your skills. We can look at what you have to offer us and how we can match and what we can offer you, and then hopefully have some fantastic outcomes and offer you a really good experience of volunteering with our service. So I think that kind of covers everything. So I don't know if anyone's got any questions.
Thank you so much, Zoe. I think we're running a bit close on time now. So what I'm going to do is you've answered my 2 questions that I always ask. So if anyone's got any more questions for Zoe, please do send her a message in the chat. She'll be here for a little bit, so please do ask all your questions to her.
Yeah.
We're more than happy to answer it, but we are going to move on now
Okay,
because
thank you.
we've got a few more organisations to come. If you're just joining us, welcome. We've still got Zoe here from One YMCA. Angela's here from Sisters of Advice. We've still got Sharon and I think Susanna's still here from Royal British Legion. So please do ask them about all their volunteer roles. We've got Carly from Isabel Hospice. So there's plenty of people here who are still available to talk to you but all about their volunteer roles. But we are going to move on now. So the next person I've got on my list is Julie, who's here from Carers and Hearts. So I'll pass over to Julie and she'll be able to tell you all about what it's like to volunteer for them.
Thank you, Jack. Right.
There you are.
Sorry, something's come. Oh, sorry, it's gone. It's gone. Sorry, something came up and went off. Hi, I'm Julie from Carers in Hertfordshire. And those of you that don't know us or know what our charity does, they provide information and support to unpaid carers. So unpaid carers that look after an elderly person, a person that has a disability, physical illness, mental illness, or drug or alcohol misuse. So that's, it's quite a large range. Now, the volunteers that we're looking for at the moment, and ones that we've had since COVID, is a keep in touch volunteer. We've now extended this to an out of hours service as well. So it's not only Monday to Friday 9 till 5, it's Thursday evening 5:30 to 7:30 as well, that you can come and help. And this service has been set up so our volunteers that are vulnerable and isolated, and we can identify any needs that they need, to be met. So you as a volunteer would make that initial contact, and they're all carers that are known to us. So it's you just say you're from Carers in Hertfordshire, and it's just really a nice conversation to say hello, how are you, and to help us reach. We've got over 16,000 carers on our books, in our database, and we just want to know that they're all okay. And you'll be along staff doing this as well. It's not only volunteers we're asking to do this, staff as well do this as part of their working week within their role that they do. So it's just really to make that initial contact, and because we find that carers themselves, they totally ignore themselves and just look after their cared for, but there is some help out there. We offer 37 services that are free for our carers, from a wellbeing course, an art course, to actually help and information on finances, benefits that they can receive, or it could be help with their cared for, getting equipment and different things. So, that there's lots of things out there that carers don't know that we can offer. So this is a really important volunteer role to make that connection and say that we're here and we can offer, them these services that they may not know. And even if they've come to us and they could be on our books the last 3 or 4 years, they might not have had any really big interaction with us, because every time we speak to them, they tell us that they're okay. But this nice, this telephone call now that we can give them, and we've got the funding to be able to support our volunteers, so it won't be of any cost to yourselves. It's all free. We would supply you with a mobile phone to be able to make these calls. So, and it's just that initial contact and that friendly voice, and 9 times out of 10 the carer will then open up, and a conversation may last 10 minutes or a conversation may last half an hour, but it's just a gentle introduction back to us again to say, we're here for you. But that's everything, Jack, that I've just wanted to say. Hope I haven't gone over time.
No,
but yeah, it's just
you're bang on my schedule, Julie. You're a pro at this now. You've done enough of our affairs that you've got it down to a T. That's perfect. I'll ask the same couple of questions that I've asked previously, because I know there are people in the chat who will be interested. So what age does volunteering start with Carers in Hearts?
It is 18, but we're working actually closely that we actually picked up on one of the last volunteering fairs. We're going to be working with the college, and some of those students all have had DBS like from 16, but some of the students that are on level 3, some of them are 17, are going to be helping us do some of these kit calls, you know, supervised and in the right situation. And so we are open to looking at people, you know, to getting people on a bit younger, but majority of it is 18, I'm afraid, because what we don't want is some of our carers may be a bit distressed, and we don't want someone young having to deal with that. But obviously we do support training, so you'll have some kit training before you start, and there will be safeguarding training, just so you know, just in case that you do come over a difficult phone call and someone is distressed, that then you would know. But there's always a manager on hand that you can speak to straight away to be able to, you know, deal with the situation. So we're not left you know, to deal with it on your own. There is support.
Okay, brilliant. I'll just leave the chat for a second because I think there's a few people who might have a couple of questions. So if anyone's got any questions for Julie, please do ask them now. But what I'll do in the meantime is I'll drop your volunteering page on your website into the chat, Julie, just so everyone's got that. They can go away and have a read.
Thanks, Jack. Thank you.
But if anyone's got any questions, please do ask them now. Okay, I'll give it a couple of seconds, but if not, and if you just want to ask a question to Julie quite privately, please do send her a message. As I mentioned before, we've still got all of the volunteer organisations here today, and they're all here to talk to you about volunteering. So please don't be shy, please do send them a message. So just a quick little rundown of who's still here. We've still got Carly from Isabel Hospice. She's here to talk to you about the Compassionate Neighbours scheme. We've got Sharon here from the Royal British Legion. She's here to talk to you all about their roles they've got over there. I think Sue's gone. Zoe's still here from 1YMCA, so she'll be able to talk to you about all of the roles they've currently got on at the moment. Angela's here from Citizen Advice, the Witness Service. That's a really interesting role. If anyone wasn't here for that, please do give them a message and ask all about it. We've got, I think Angela's gone from Potential Kids, but as mentioned, we've got Julie. So we will move on now because we're pretty much still on my schedule, so which is very rare for these fairs. Usually we end up chasing our tails, but we're right on it today. So we'll move on. I think we've got Eliza here from CPRE, who she'll be able to go all about the volunteer roles they've got there. I'm going to make you co-host, Eliza. Don't worry, I've remembered.
Great, thank you.
There you are.
Okay. Excellent. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm just going to share my screen. Oops. Hang on just a sec. Let's show. That's better. Okay. I hope everyone can see that. We are CPRE Hertfordshire, the countryside charity, and my name is Eliza. We are an environmental charity with 4 staff and about 30 active volunteers, all of whom are part-time. We have a small office in Welwyn Village, but our scope is the whole of the county. We are the countryside charity for the whole of Hertfordshire. Our mission is to protect, promote, and enhance the Hertfordshire countryside for everyone to value and enjoy. And our charity's been around for a long time, but recently with the pandemic, it's become even more clear that we all need the green spaces around us, whether it's for recreation or for our health and well-being, or just to get outdoors and to appreciate nature. So our work has never been more important or more relevant than it is right now. And so we are trying to grow our volunteer base. We carry out our mission through a variety of activities that encourage people to connect with the countryside near them, and also encourage them to improve and protect their local environment. This is a range of activities. It does include participating in the land use planning system, so that when development occurs, it will be as least harmful as possible to the environment, and as most helpful in protecting our green spaces and biodiversity and mitigating climate change as possible. So we have several volunteer vacancies currently. All of them are part-time and highly flexible. I'll talk about the specific roles in just a moment. And the full roles are available on our website. I will pop our website in the chat in a moment. In all cases, we provide induction and training, and there's opportunity for ongoing e-learning and training sessions, webinars, meetings, in the current context, virtual meetings with colleagues. And depending on each individual's own interests, skills, time availability, there's opportunities to get involved in various aspects of our work. It's all highly flexible. Most of our volunteers are motivated to help because they have a strong interest in protecting and improving the environment. That's the common thread for us. We are a cause-based charity. And most of our volunteers really enjoy volunteering with us, and they stay for a very long time. We've just had one volunteer retire after literally 40 years of volunteering with us. And another one just retired after 18 years, moving through different roles, of course, over that time, but really enjoying what they do. So I will talk about the vacancies we have right now. And these are very role specific. The first is a database specialist. We're looking for someone to help us reach new audiences across the county by creating and managing an Excel database of community and environmental groups, climate groups, grassroots campaign groups, and similar. Probably will take about 3 hours a week and be done from home in your own time around your other commitments. But that is a vacancy. It's a new role for us. And the person should have good online skills, be able to research online, and be able to keep things up to date. The second role I wanted to highlight is an administrative volunteer to help our office manager with our annual children's art competition. We run an annual primary school age kids art competition to encourage the kids to connect with the environment, the kids and their families, I should say. And in this role, which is also about 3 hours a week, you would be helping our office manager coordinate the annual program of this competition. This role is partly based in our office in Welwyn and partly at home. Again, it is flexible, but some of the time needs to be on a Monday or a Thursday, just because that's in keeping with the schedule of our office manager. I should say, by way of extra information, this role doesn't involve direct interaction with the children. It may interact with schools, but not the kids themselves. The third role I wanted to highlight is in our land use planning team. This is a team of about 10 people, and recently one of our volunteers did move on, so we have a vacancy. It's a great opportunity to learn about land use planning, which is the system right across England and right across Hertfordshire by which decisions are made where buildings will go. And in this team, in this role, you would work from home 1 to 2 hours a week doing an online trawl and online research into development proposals in a particular specific area. And you'd work with the team once you've identified particular proposals of concern. So that's about 1 to 2 hours a week from home. And lastly, we have a couple of trustee vacancies. We have 2 trustees who are soon coming to the end of their terms. The term limits are specified by our charity constitution. And so we are looking for some new trustees. We want a balance of expertise across the trustee board. So you don't need to have a particular professional background, but we would be particularly interested in people with a strong finance background or marketing background or environment background. So those are the 4 roles that we're recruiting for right at the moment. I will pop, well, you can see on the slide the contact details, but I will pop it in the chat as well. We'd love to hear from you if you'd like to find out more or just have an exploratory conversation. It doesn't need to be anything formal. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Brilliant, that was perfect. Thank you so much, Eliza. As mentioned, Eliza will put that in the chat, but I'll also put the website and things. So if you're interested in this, please do go and have a look at the website. If anyone's got any questions, please do put them in the chat. I think you answered my question in terms of the flexibility and what sort of times people have to give in a week. But just in terms of the ones I've already asked before, so all of your roles are sort of admin in the office rather than outside.
The current vacant roles, I'm afraid, are indoor roles. We are an environmental charity. We do have some outdoor roles, but those are not vacant right at the moment. You can certainly keep an eye on our website for when they do become vacant.
Of course. So if you're interested, please do make sure you're following them on all their social media and stuff, and they'll be able to let you know when stuff goes live on their website. Just the other one, in terms of the question that I know a lot of people are asking, so for all your roles, do they start at 18? Is that the same with everyone else?
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. And then I'm guessing because a lot of them are sort of office based, do they still require a DBS and things like that?
No, none of our roles require a DBS check.
Brilliant.
For the trustee roles, there are standard Charity Commission certifications and declarations for the trustee roles, but there's no DBS checks.
Brilliant. Well, I'll leave the chat open for a couple minutes. But please do go have a look at the website that Eliza's put in the chat. She'll be able to tell you a lot more about the charity than I will. So please do send her a message. She's going to be here. I believe you're going to be here until the end.
Yes.
So please do use the next 20 minutes to send us some messages and ask as many questions you want. She's here. I've roped her in to answer all your questions. So please do send all of them over to her. But we will move on, just because I'm wary of time, to our penultimate organisation. I know a lot of people here were interested in mental health volunteering. So we've saved Amanda till last, who's here from Mind in Mid Heart, and she'll be able to tell you all about what they do and how you can get involved.
Thanks, Jack. I hope everyone can hear me, but please flag if not. I just, first of all, just introduce myself. My name is Amanda. I'm one of the volunteer coordinators at Mind in Mid Hearts. I'm just going to start firstly by just telling you a little bit about the charity. We are a mental health provider for people aged 16 and over. I think everybody's familiar with the word Mind, and Mind is a national charity to which we're affiliated, and their remit is very much about raising awareness of mental health. But dotted all around the country are lots of little local minds, of which we're one, and we're about offering services to people at a local level on the ground. We have 4 centres across Hertfordshire. We have one in Welwyn Garden City, and then we have one in St Albans, Stevenage and Hartford. We support positive mental health recovery, working across 3 themes: prevention, social support and recovery. Prior to COVID, probably like everybody else, we delivered everything face-to-face. But in the last year, we've had to adapt everything so that it's online, and that has included our volunteering. I'm going to give you a flavour of some of the volunteer opportunities that we've had in the last year, and the kind of roles that people have come on board to help out with. We currently have about 80 volunteers, and they support a wide range of activities. So some examples include things like our course assistant roles. This is helping to facilitate and run our Living Well courses. Currently, these are on Zoom. These courses are designed to help people make positive choices in their lives, and they cover topics like learning to relax, building courage, building assertiveness. one of the big areas of growth in volunteering over the last year for us has been what we call our keeping in touch calls. So volunteers make a brief weekly call to our service users in order to check up on them and just to provide a listening ear. Additionally, we also launched a befriending scheme in the last 6 months. So volunteers make weekly phone calls of up to an hour with one of our service users. As I said, it is currently over the phone, but we are actually looking actively at the moment at trying to move this to face-to-face role as soon as possible. Additionally, some of the other roles that have been able to continue outside face-to-face are our walking groups. We have an established walking group in St Albans. We've just started one in Hitchin, and we're just about to start a walking group in Welwyn Garden City. So I think that gives you a flavour of our roles. As I say, all of them have been over the phone or over Zoom in the last 12 months. We are in a period at the moment where we are looking at reopening our centres, and as part of that process we will obviously be looking at our volunteer roles, and I would imagine moving our volunteer roles back to more face-to-face as restrictions allow and so on. So what do volunteers get out of it? Well, we hope it's an opportunity for you to give back to your local community. You get great experience of working in mental health, which sometimes is a difficult area to get experience in. There's free training, so you get mental health awareness training, spot the signs suicide training, and other bits and pieces that are relevant to whatever role you end up doing. You obviously get the opportunity to meet new people, whether that's face-to-face, over Zoom or on the telephone, and hopefully it's an opportunity to build new skills or enhance your current skill set. The process involves the applicant completing an application form. We then have an informal chat, currently over the phone, and then we go through an admin process of getting references and a DBS. And once all those bits and pieces have been completed, then you're ready to start volunteering. And at that point, you will get induction, paperwork, and so on. I'm going to put the link to our website.
I think you muted, Amanda.
Sorry, in my excitement putting my link on there. We've just rebranded our website, so I've put the link onto our volunteering page there. That will give you a flavour and a recap of everything I've probably just said. Additionally, it has the application form, and also it gives you a link to one of our volunteers, Eve, who has written a little kind of volunteering story about her time at Mind. So yeah, thanks for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to fire them.
Brilliant, that was fantastic, Amanda. I'll ask the ones that I'm going to ask. I ask everyone just because they're the ones that we get at Team Hearts. So what age does volunteering start?
We look at people over 16. Historically, pre-COVID, we were able to facilitate a lot of school students who were looking for work experience, or people from colleges, and also people from universities who need work placements and so on. We've obviously had to put that on hold for the moment because we can't facilitate work experience kind of over the phone. It would need to be in kind of group situations in the centres and so on.
Brilliant. And in terms of like DBS and everything, in terms of the training and the DBS, so how long does that process take and what does it look like?
It's really as quickly as we can all do it. So as I say, it's an application form. Then as soon as we can, if there are roles we're looking to fill, then we'll have a telephone interview or an informal chat quite quickly, and then it's just a case of getting the references and the DBS. I mean, DBSs can come through quite quickly at the moment, and once we've got all those bits, then as I say, you're ready to go.
Brilliant. If anyone's got any more questions for Amanda, please do put them in the chat now and she'll be able to answer all of those. Because I think you're going to be here till the end, aren't you, Amanda? So I think if you have the next 15 minutes, please do use the time to send Amanda a message. Ask her all about Mind in Mid Hearts and how you can get involved. But I think we will move on because I think that we haven't got any questions, but please do go have a look at the Mind in Mid Health website. Do speak to Amanda. She'll be able to give you far more information than I ever will. But what I'm going to pass over now, because although Team Hearts is the county-wide project for volunteering, if you're in Welwyn and Hatfield, there is one place to go, and that's to your local CVS and volunteer centre. So I'll pass over to our partner organisation today, Carmen and Alison, who are here to tell you all about how they can help you find a volunteer role.
Hi everyone, I'm Carmen. I am the Chief Officer for Welwyn and Hatfield CVS and Integrated Volunteer Centre. We are the local hub for volunteering, so anyone in the Welwyn and Hatfield area can come to us for their volunteer needs. We work with member organisations, so you need to be affiliated to us, which is £30 per year in order to use the services. All our volunteer roles that we manage for various charities within Welwyn and Hatfield is on the Do It platform as well as the Team Hearts website. And today we are recruiting for ourselves. So we're being very selfish today and just looking for our vacancies. So in a moment, I'll just pass you over to Alison, who will tell you what we're looking for. But in the meantime, if the roles that we're promoting is not anything to whet your appetite, then we have lots of other roles that we can provide for charities. We are a small organization, we are very friendly, and you'll get lots of teas and biscuits, although I do ban biscuits from the office, but you will get tea and biscuits when I'm not there. And we look after our volunteers very well. So over to you, Alison. If you want any information about us, I can put the details in the chat now, or you can call us on 01707 274 861. Over to you, Alison.
Hi everybody. Thanks for that, Carmen. Right, so I'll be talking about the 3 projects that we want to that we're looking for volunteers for, and the first one is our community car scheme, so the Welwyn Hatfield community car scheme. And what we do, we supply transport to those that have problems using public transport, getting to mostly medical appointments. You can volunteer as little or as much time as you like. You can do that around your work, around your work. So it's all up to you how often you want to volunteer. You will need to have your own vehicle. And so the things that we require from the volunteers would be an insurance, current insurance certificate, current MOT certificate if your car is 3 years or older, and a valid driving license. All our drivers do need to be driving for at least 3 years, so 20 on and above. An enhanced DBS is required, and do's and don'ts. So we do offer PPE and guidelines of what to do and what not to do. And that's the first role that we're looking for volunteers for. The other role will be a scheme, it's our gardening scheme. I know everyone else is looking for gardeners as well, but we have a Blooming Marvellous gardening scheme. And this is catered for those that are unable to maintain their own gardens. So it could be down to disabilities, could be down to age, it could be down to any reason. But if they're unable to maintain their own gardens, then we are looking for volunteers to help them maintain. The actual residents will have to supply their own tools. So I wouldn't ask anybody to go with a lawnmower or anything like that. The residents will supply all those things. Okay. And the last project that we are looking for volunteers for would be for Love Welwyn Hatfield. This is run by our colleague Cheryl, who couldn't be with us today. And it's basically loving Welwyn Hatfield. So if you're free, it's basically to paint up, and I've got a board here behind here. So paint and planting and all that kind of stuff. And it's more on a bigger scale of maybe group projects. So if you know an area that needs litter picking, for example, or a subway that might need repainting, We do have organisations that are looking for teamwork to do, and so we can, you know, hopefully provide volunteers to do that if you're willing and interested. The litter picking, that can be done as a group, or that can be done as individuals. We do supply the litter pickers. Just need to get into contact with Cheryl, and we will put all the contact information in the chat. DBS is for the gardening scheme, the Blooming Marvellous gardening scheme. We do require DBS checks for that as well, but for the Love Well in Hatfield, no, we don't. And the age can be anything from, we have children that go out to that do the litter picking, you know, they go with their families. You can do that on a walk or anything like that. So if you do need to contact us, you can just call 01707 274 861. Okay, and the other contact details will be in the chat. Thank you.
Brilliant, that was perfect, Alison. Can I say I just love the name Blooming Marvellous. That's incredible.
That name came from another colleague of ours called Davinia.
Brilliant. Well, as mentioned, if you're interested in any of those roles, please do get in contact with Alison. And if you're interested in volunteering, particularly in Welwyn Hatfield, please do get in contact with your local volunteer centre. They'll be more than happy to accommodate you and find you your perfect volunteer role. We're coming to the end now. Thank you everyone for attending. I'm just going to talk a little bit more about Team Hearts just at the end here, and we're just sharing a little bit about what's going on next week, because as I'm sure everyone here in the voluntary sector will know, next week is National Volunteers Week. So we're all running around like headless chickens, trying to prepare everything and make sure we're all ready to celebrate next week as well as we can. So just a little bit what's going to be happening with us is we are going to be running. So what I'll do is I'll pull up our wonderful graphic, which will share what's going on with Team Hearts, and then I'll let
schedule.
Yeah, I'll let
That'd be wonderful.
I'll let anyone else who's got anything planned for next week share what they've got going on. Okay, brilliant. Can everyone see that all right? So just a quick rundown of what we've got going on next week. We've got a range of activities. So on Monday next week, which we know is a bank holiday, but in the evening, we are going to be running one of our brilliant introduction to volunteering workshops. If you are here brand new to the idea of volunteering and want to volunteer for the first time, and you don't know the first thing about it or what you should expect or what your organisation is going to be doing for you, please do come along. It's a free 1 hour session where we'll talk about all about your first time volunteering, what you need to consider, what you should expect from an organisation, what an organisation is going to expect from you, and just all the considerations you need to make before you start volunteering. We're going to run another one of those on Tuesday, so if you can't get to the evening one on the Monday, please do come along on the Tuesday. We do then have a nature and wildlife virtual volunteer fair. This is currently very popular, but we are just checking whether this is still going to run. Please do keep an eye out for any news on this, but at the moment it is still on. So please do go over to the Team Hearts website. That's going to be organisations just focused around nature and wildlife roles, like gardening and animals, and that's extremely popular at the moment. Next Wednesday, we've got the Community Roles Virtual Volunteer Fair. So this is just purely for community roles. So if you want to help your local community, all the organisations are focusing on helping Hertfordshire residents. Please do come along and listen to them. On Friday, and then the next big next big event for the public is our big virtual volunteer bonanza. This is our biggest ever virtual volunteer fair. It's going to be twice the size of the one today. We're going to have over 20 organisations. We're going to be streaming it live on our Facebook, so please do come along, drop in and out. We'll be posting the schedule for all the organisations attending next week. So you can drop in and out and ask all the questions you want, and that's a fantastic chance to meet a whole host of organisations from across our brilliant county. But as always, if you've got any questions about Team Hearts volunteering, please do contact us at info@thvolunteering.org.uk, and to view all of these events, please go to thvolunteering.org.uk. If anyone's got any questions about Volunteers Week or anything that's happened today, please do put them in the chat now. If any of the other organisations in here have anything they want to share about what they're doing for Volunteers Week, please do let us know now, and we can certainly share with everyone here. But If not, I don't know if you wanted to say anything, Katie.
Just thank you so much, everyone, for coming today and for your interest in volunteering. Please do use the contact details in the chat to reach out to any organisations that you're interested in. And equally, if you were registered to attend this event today, we will be sending contact details for each of the organisations in our follow-up email. Just a shout out to any organisations here who have anything hands-on that's outside to do with nature, wildlife, the environment. Obviously, a shout out to CPRE in particular. We would love to have you at our Nature and Wildlife Volunteer Fair next Tuesday between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. We are really pushing and putting a call out for organisations to attend that, as we've already got 30 members of the public interested in and signed up to that event. So please do tell any other organisations you know that work within that sector if they'd like to attend and if they're in need of volunteers, because it will be a fantastic opportunity to shout about your organisation and how to get involved. But thanks again, everyone, for coming today. We hope you found it useful. If you have any questions about anything you've heard today, Jack and I are always at the end of the phone, always available over email, and the same goes for Alison and Carmen at Welwyn Hatfield as well.
Brilliant. Well, I think we're on the last few minutes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the chat open for the last 4 minutes. So if anyone's got any questions they want to ask any of the organisations, you've got 4 minutes to get those emails, 4 minutes to get those contact details, so you can make those connections and speak to them further on. But I'll leave the chat open. If anyone's got any questions, of course, for Team Hearts, please do get in contact. And as mentioned, a couple of people have asked if what's going to be on this fair in terms of it being recorded. So the entire fair has been recorded. It's going to go onto our YouTube probably some point over the weekend or by the end of this week. So please keep an eye out for that. We'll be publishing it on our website and on our social medias when that goes live. So if there's any organisations you missed, or if you just want to go back and listen to some of the fantastic talks we've had today, please do go and watch that, and then we'll make sure that's all available. As mentioned, I am going to be sending out a form afterwards, so just say a big thank you for everyone for coming with everyone's information. In that, there's going to be a feedback form as well, so if you've managed to find your perfect volunteer role out of today, please do fill out that feedback form and let us know what you found and how you found our events. We're always looking to improve these events. Hopefully there's going to be a time in the future where we can do these physically and we can be in Welwyn Hatfield and we can all be sharing flyers and information in person, but for now this is what we've had to evolve to. Obviously we've had our problems, but this is just the online world we're dealing with at the moment. So thank you everyone for coming. As mentioned, I'll leave the chat open until 1, so please do speak to all the organisations and get all the contact details you need before I close the chat. But once again, thank you for coming, and if you've got any more queries about volunteering in Hertfordshire, please do go over to Team Hearts Volunteering website, which is thvolunteering.org.uk. Okay, brilliant. I'm going to end the chat in just about 10 seconds time. So last chance to get your messages in. But once again, big thank you everyone for attending. I hope to see you all next week at our Volunteers Week events. Those are all, as Katie's mentioned in the chat, those will all be recorded as well. So if you can't get to any of them, don't worry. They will all be available to watch at a later date. But thank you so much for joining us today. And we hope you've all found out a little bit more about volunteering in Welwyn and Hatfield. And we hope to see you all soon.
Thank you both, Katie and Jack. It's been a great event. Thank you. Well done.
Thank you,
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.